All right, so we back. Another episode of Sports Chaos with Dame. Got my boy Deuce with me again. Actually, the last time I recorded, ironically, was with him. So we back now. We gonna get into the NBA talk since the NFL season is coming to an end. College football's over, and we gotta come to y'all with this talk of NBA trade deadline. There was a lot of things that happened unexpectedly, some things that we thought were going to happen that didn't happen. Of course, Giannis not being moved, staying in Milwaukee, Ja Morant staying in Memphis. Two names that we probably would have projected that definitely would have been moved before the trade deadline. But what did you think about those two guys? First of all, staying where they're at.
I thought, to be honest, I was betting on Giannis to get traded. I was either thinking a team like with a lot of draft capital, like OKC, could have made a push, or maybe Golden State throwing the bag, or maybe even a dark horse like San Antonio, because he's been linked to San Antonio for years. Imagine them giving up a young two prospect to go win now, and just we'll ultimately see what happens because I think his deal's up next year. I eventually feel like he'll leave Milwaukee, but maybe he's staying a little loyal to Milwaukee to give him a last chance. But in my honest opinion, I think he's staying too loyal because he's getting to the end of his career where he got to win now, because if he don't win now, he might not win again. And ever since then, there's one championship. We was the most dominant player in the league that year. Ever since then, it's been playoff exit, play after playoff exit, not playing that high level. I think he needs a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, the thing that was interesting about that is I seen the Warriors offered 4 unprotected firsts. You would almost have to imagine Kaminga was also in that deal. I don't know. I didn't see too many other actual trade details, but I did see that one. And that was kind of surprising that they turned that down at this point, considering the fact of, I think that's a lot of value because I watched Stephen A on Nightcap live in LA, I believe it was. And they were talking about the calf injury and how he's had 4 calf injuries in the last 19 months or something along those lines. And that was interesting to me because then he, of course, transitioned into Tatum, Hallie, and all them having calf injuries that ended up resulting in ACL injury. And with a player like Giannis, pushing 30 in his style of play, if you were to go all in for him and God forbid, he was to end up tearing his ACL or something, that could be a devastating trade. But he's a player that I feel like if you really want to win, you take that risk because you never ultimately know if this is him trying to protect himself or if this is a real injury that he's been battling over those last 19 months. Of course, some of it's probably legit, but like this last one, it was kind of weird looking. End of the game before he even got his actual MRI, he told the media he was probably going to be out 4 to 6 weeks just based on prior knowledge of the injury. So I don't know, it's a lot to take out of it, but nonetheless, they're there. It was also talks of Ja Morant actually going to Milwaukee to play with Giannis. And that fell through as well. And I was telling people I don't really know how I feel about that because Ja Morant is shooting 23% from the three, which is the second worst percentage in the NBA. And I just think as athletic as he is, he can still average 15 to 20. But in those big games, especially in playoff series, you got to be able to shoot the three. And if you can't shoot the three, you really can't be on the floor almost in today's game in certain situations. So, it's hard to give up a lot. And then I seen a rumor today where they said that, or no, I'm sorry, not a rumor. This was legit that it was a tweet that they said teams were wanting the Grizzlies to attach draft picks with Ja. So essentially, he had no value on the market at all. And I just think that's kind of crazy. Of course, the situation that happened a few years ago, but before that, he had a lot of hype behind him. And now it's looking like he has no value around the league. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, moving forward with both of those guys. And then, of course, the big trade that was unexpected, and another thing that I seen earlier on this deal actually is that the Dallas Mavericks didn't reach out to Rich Paul to even notify him that Anthony Davis was being traded, which I think is super interesting because a lot of people feel like Rich Paul has a lot of power, which you would say he does. So the fact that they, made this move without notifying him was kind of funny when I seen it, but business is business. But nonetheless, of course, the trade I'm talking about is Anthony Davis being traded to the Washington Wizards, along with Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. Dallas received Chris Middleton on an expiring contract. The young A.J. Johnson, which I'm actually high on. I like him a lot. I think he's one of the best young transition guys in the league and can eventually turn into one of the best transition guys. He's super fast and explosive. He kind of give you not the same player, but that John Wall type vibe on the break, you know? So that's a good piece for Dallas. They got Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, still just making his way around the league. A 2026 first from Charlotte or OKC that's protected. A 2026 second from Phoenix, a 27 second from Chicago, and a 29 second from Houston. What did you think about that deal when you first seen it? Did it catch you by surprise, especially considering the fact that it was DC? They got Trae Young already. They haven't yet seen him play. There was rumors he was going to be shut down. Then they trade for another guy that's a superstar caliber player when healthy. What was your thoughts?
Man, when I first saw it, it took me by surprise, but I said, man, Washington's trying to turn it up in the East. They legit, when they get healthy, they have a legit five that can go toe to toe with anybody. You got, probably in my opinion, when healthy, one of the top 5, top 10 point guards in the league. You got one of the most elite two-way bigs in the league. You got 3 guys that can really just go, and Keyshawn George, and you got Johnson, you got Alex Sarr, you got all these guys that can go hoop, but you surround them with veteran talent. It's crazy that we say Trae Young's a veteran now, but Trae Young's proven in this league time and time. He's a walking 22 and 10 every night. And I think Washington's building something that's good for AD. AD ain't got to be the best player on the floor at all night. Just like when he was in LA, he was one of the best players, but he had to be the best player every night, and he takes the load off of AD to be who he is. AD is not New Orleans AD no more. He can go be 18, 10, and 2 blocks a night and be effective, because we can both agree when AD's on the floor, he's arguably a top 3, top 4 big in the league when he's healthy. But that's the factor. When is he going to be healthy? With the eye injury and constantly either bad knees, messing his ankle up, he just seems injury prone. But I think, like I said earlier, the breath of fresh air and going to a franchise that needs to be proven. I think AD will flourish in there, and you can't really talk about it right now. It's talking to the future, but Washington got something going there, and I don't think they're done yet, because they got a lot of draft capital. And you got to think, if they shut everybody down for the year and they get a lottery pick where they get a top 5 pick, you can imagine either Debanza, Peterson, Boozer, Ament, Koa P, like these guys that are legit in the league, are not legit in the league, legit in college basketball, coming to town and go into a situation that's win now. And it's really gonna be interesting to see how that folds out, and how, if it stays together, or does it get blown up? Do they move some of the young pieces for another established superstar? It's really gonna be interesting to see how it works. And I just pray to God Washington doesn't mess it up, because they got something brewing there. I like what's going on there in many different places.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I was having these talks with some people, and AD in 30 minutes this year is averaging 20, 11, 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. I mean, the problem is you mentioned it, and it's no secret. They call him street clothes for a reason. The man can't stay healthy. So I think the biggest thing here is you got to hope that you can keep these 2 guys. They're willing to play because their contracts aren't much longer, maybe this all season or the season after. So if you made these trades for these pieces, banking on them staying, I think that's a great 1-2 punch. If they're not healthy at this point in the season, you could try to get them guys back if they're able to come back and play for a play-in. But would you really be able to contend for a championship this year? Probably not. So you might as well just think about shutting these guys down, letting them get 100% healthy. And like you said, capitalize on the top 5, definitely top 10 pick this year. And get another potential generational talent if you get Patterson or AJ. I think both of those guys, and then you got some solid other ones too. Like you said, Koa Pete's tough. Boozer is nice, but I'm kind of like at the NBA level. I'm not sure yet. But of course, you got to let it play out. Man, I don't know. I think with the situation and the pieces they gave up and how irrelevant they've been over the last few years, even though they've made trades for big names that didn't pan out, I think you got to take this risk and hope there's some reward in it. Because even if you could just get AD to play X amount of games and y'all be good enough with him and Trae Young when the young pieces around him to be able to get into the postseason. I mean, a 7-game series with 2 guys that are 25 and better a night, and then you getting double-digit assists and rebounds. I mean, they could definitely make some noise. But I
And
think
another thing to say, with the young talent around them, that you gotta think of the Bub Carrington, the Keyshawn Georges, the Alex Sarr, and I think in a very underrated bringing, they brought Jaden Hardy, which Jaden Hardy can go. Jaden Hardy can get to the hole, come off the bench, and give you a walk-in 10 to 15 points a night. And you got D'Lo, you got these guys that have been to the Jaden Hardy and D'Lo, guys that have been the big moments at young ages and know how to feel the pressure it hits them. And I like
He's a champ himself too.
and the champ itself, and you got these veterans around Trae Young and D'Lo teaching Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George, and then imagine AD. We saw what AD did beside Boogie and did beside JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard or Derek Lively or Derek Gafford, who you want to say. When he plays the four, he's way more effective when he plays the four. When he has to play a five, you see the injuries come out. You see him taking games off. You see the so-called load management we're calling nowadays, but also it gives a chance. I don't want to say a back seat for AD or Trae Young, but it makes them not have to be the number one player every night, and they don't show up because these young guys can hoop. It's just like, and to go off that, there's other situations around the league that young guys can't hoop, and they're one piece away from being great. They're one piece from being in that contention. Like they're getting there. And with the East, in my opinion, somewhat to a younger stage with Detroit and Boston to a certain extent, and New York being so young, Washington has to be ready to compete for the next 3 to 5 years because it's win now in the East. It has to be because Washington has never had this type of firepower since, can we agree, John Wall, Bradley Beal, Marcin Gortat, and Nene, they ain't been in this level in a very long time, so you have to capitalize on that fire when you strike it. You have to.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's actually funny because you was talking about the offense. But for me, I think a big part of this is because you can call Trae Young a defensive liability out there, but like I said, he's gonna give you your 25 and 10 or better per night. And when you put another elite guy, because he's never had another elite guy with him like AD, not to mention the pick and roll, how dangerous that could be, and the lob threats, still with Sar too, with the lob threats. But most importantly, the other end of the floor. Having Sar and AD on the court together defensively will probably give them the best front court in the NBA defensively.
Arguably could be the between them and probably, in my opinion, you can say Mobley and Jared Allen, just the fact of them both being 7-1 plus and can just stretch the floor so many different ways. But the versatility on the pick and roll for Alex Sarr and AD to be mobile and pick and roll and switch and hedge and how you want to play the pick and roll, they're able to do that. And you really think about it, Alex Sarr, AD can take your best big man out the game, and you still got to worry about the other big scoring 20 and 10 a night. It's gonna be hard to match up, especially in the East where there's not really a lot of bigs. There's great centers, there's great bigs, but there's no front court duos like there is in the West. And you got to tell me, you almost got to say, what if they go play the Knicks? Are you going to start Mitchell Robinson and Cat? Are you going to, if you're in Detroit, you going to start Duran and whoever the other big is? You going to start both of them and take a score off the floor because it's going to create matchup problems and whoever they play.
Yeah, no, and you're right. Mobley and Jared Allen would definitely probably be considered the best, but I think Sar and AD have a lot of potential. Of course, Sar is young, so he's not yet proven. Mobley,
I'm
otherwise, is the younger guy over there. But of course, well, he was runner up for DPOY last year, so he's definitely the most established one.
I'm high on Star. There's a lot of critique about him not being as effective early, but I think with AD coming to town and getting that veteran leadership and showing him how to, not I don't want to say show him the ropes, but teaching him the ways. Alex Sarr might be a most improved player nominee next year. He might be a all NBA first, second, or third team. He's that type of caliber talent when he puts it to the right place. And it's gonna be he's gonna have the easiest matchup or looks he's probably had his whole career to this point with 80 on their side. And he's not probably gonna get to be the best defensive player every night. So it's really gonna be interesting to see how Washington does it and what else they build to get more depth to build around these guys, because their starting five when healthy can go.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see, like you said, whether they try to do it this year or if it ends up turning into a next year thing. And let's see what we got here. We're now going to go to the Zubac trade, which kind of caught me by surprise. Of course, Harden got traded the day before. You kind of were wondering what was going on in LA, if they were going to clean house completely. Kawhi ended up staying, but they did trade Zubac. to the Pacers along with Kobe Brown, and then the Clippers in return received Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2026 Pacers first, projected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. 29 Pacers first and a 28 Mavs second. So I mean they got 2 first round picks. It's crazy because when you actually look at this trade, the Clippers might have got more for actually the Clippers did get more for Zubac than the Mavs did for AD, which is
Yeah.
crazy when you think about it in the overall situation, considering the fact that AD was involved in a trade for Luka. So Zubac then got traded for more value than Anthony Davis. But what did you think about that trade? You think that's a big trade for them? For me personally, I thought my initial reactions, and before I let you go, I'm not going to give it a deep dive, but my initial reaction with it was, it's weird that they make a move like this when, for one, their best player is hurt, and for two, they were coming off of a championship appearance where they didn't feel as though they should pay Miles Turner and let him walk. And granted, these are two different players, but in my mind, I'm like, you go and get a center that's good. He's solid, but he can't space the floor. You had a center that can guard the rim, was a pretty good defender, and could space the floor. And now you're struggling. Your best player ain't out there, and you go and trade for a center. So yeah, what is your thoughts on this one?
You took the words out of my mouth. When I first saw it, I'm like, why didn't you just pay Miles Turner what you could have paid him 6 months ago, what he earned, which outside of, in my opinion, was the most influential player throughout their whole finals run, most consistent. Halliburton had his moments, Mathurin, Neesmith, McConnell all had their moments, but the one consistent was Miles Turner, and I was kind of thrown off. But like the way you want to play fast, physical, and aggressive, that's what Miles Turner gave you, and I feel like Indiana lost one with that, and bringing in Zubac for that much, which I like Mathurin and I like Isaiah Jackson, what they were building. It makes no sense. I think it was almost like we're trying to build for next year moment, but also that doesn't help you in a way when you could have saved what you had in home. You had Miles Turner, was one of the best shot blockers in the league, developed the 3-ball. When he first came in the league, couldn't shoot a ball. He was considered just a dunker. And now he established a 3-point shot, one of the best shot blockers in the league, and went toe-to-toe with probably one of the best backcourts in the league, like we're talking about, in Hartenstein and Holmgren. Like, went toe-to-toe for 7 games. And if we have a whole different conversation, does Miles Turner get signed if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't get hurt? Because we don't know what happens. But ultimately, we never know. It just made no sense for Indiana. I think it kind of felt like a trade to make them relevant again because they all ultimately been so bad this year. And what they came from last year, catching fire, and now no Halliburton, and still had a good young core, but just isn't in a place to compete at all this year. And it just felt like a desperate trade just to get relevant again. It just didn't seem like it made a lot of sense.
But that's the thing. Does this really make them relevant, considering the Pacers are dead last in the East? I mean, they're 15th, sitting at 13 and 38. To even get into playoff contention, which would be 10th spot at the very best. I mean, they're 11 games back right now. And
It does
I
not.
just
It
don't
does not.
see. I just don't see. I mean, there's a few teams above them. I just don't see Halliburton coming back this season at this point. There's no reason. You make the, like you say, you make the trade for Zubac, but then you give up Mathurin. Mathurin was one of your best players off the bench in the finals last year, or that whole playoff run. You know what I mean? And he's had some games this year where he's been balling out. So I don't know. I guess they feel like they're a center away from, being who they were last year. I do also think, and this is probably unfair criticism because Hallie hasn't played, but I feel like momentum was a thing last year for the Pacers. They kind of rode off the previous year where they got the win over the Knicks, and then that's that tough series, and then they came back last year and kind of rode that momentum. But I just don't really know if that team is really that legit, and they would have sustained it even if they stayed together. So I don't really know what to expect. But to give up 2 first and Ben Mathurin, which was your first round pick, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, for a center that can't stretch the floor but is very good inside and will help you on the boards a lot. I don't know. We'll just have to let it play out and see. But I think that's a lot of value. Like I said, he got traded for more value than Anthony Davis. And then
Yeah, it just seems like Zubac is very good in the right system. I just don't think it's the right system for him. I don't think it's the right system or system fit for their team. And God knows what Halliburton, is he gonna come back next year? Is he still gonna be who he was? Is he gonna still be that magic moment every game and never count him out? Or is he gonna take a little step back for a little bit because he's coming off a serious Achilles injury, and we're talking about the greats come off Achilles. You're not yourself for a while. And they're talking about rushing Tatum back. Don't do it. There's no reason to come back because they're winning so much and they're proving to win. There's no reason for him to come back to Indiana. They're 13-38. Just keep tanking and try to get a top 3 pick.
Yeah, and it's always tricky, I guess, because you never know as an organization what these people are thinking. I also know that what did you think about the Harden deal? Harden for Darius Garland in a second.
Man, I think Cleveland won a deal, and I think they'd make a step because Darius Garland's been in and out all year. Harden's been playing arguably at an all-star level, one of the best guards recently. They've been hot lately and turned it around in LA. LA was hooping for a while, and I think it's going to help him. But ultimately, when I saw this trade, I was like, who's going to be the man when it comes down to the end of the game? Is James Harden going to defer to Donovan Mitchell, or is Donovan going to defer to Harden? Because Harden's deferred in his career to guys like KD or even Kawhi Leonard, but is he going to defer to a guy like Donovan Mitchell that really hasn't been big in moments like he has? I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh together. I think on paper it makes Cleveland a lot better in different ways. Offensively, consistency plus minus that makes them a lot better. Plus you get a point guard that's going to be consistently, for the most part, healthy and going to be playing every night. But how does it work system wise and chemistry wise, and ultimately how people will react because Darius Garland was homegrown, played big minutes for Cleveland, was on a run last 2 years, been one of the best regular season teams in the league. Just couldn't get over that hump, and just they feel like bringing Harden gets them over that hump.
Yeah, I think this is a big time trade, honestly, for both of them. One, Darius Garland, I believe, is like 26 years old, so he's getting to the point of his career where he has to start to become more like coming into the league. We looked at him and me personally, I liked his game, but he just never took that next step. And then of course he dealt with injuries and things like that, so that's always unfortunate. But I think him going to a situation where he gets a fresh start, Harden was in a situation that was bad. Now he's going to a situation in a team that he can try to compete, will be there to compete, and finally, hopefully, can show up in those moments that people always bash him for. I think this here will be bigger for the ball will be out of Mitchell's hands more. He'll be more of a catch and attack, catch and shoot guy. Harden will be running the pick and roll here with Mobley and Allen because you know how he is off the pick and roll. And I kind of think he's going to go back to, obviously, he's not Houston James Harden, but I think it's going to kind of be something like that where him and Chris Paul was kind of had to figure it out. And when they figure it out, they'll be tough. And the thing is, of course, defensively, small guard, Harden don't guard, but you got a elite defensive front court that can make up for that. So I think, like I said, the trade benefits both of those teams just for the sake of that. Harden is definitely better than Darius Garland, so that puts the Cavs in position because they haven't been able to get over that hump the last few years. And on the other flip side of that, Darius Garland getting a fresh start somewhere else to be able to try to, revive his career because he's just been a regular role player. I mean, he has flashes, and he's
And
someone that you would like to watch play. But
ultimately, I think it's a big help to Donovan Mitchell, but it also makes Evan Mobley and Jared Allen legit threats. Let's talk about it. James Harden made Clint Capella and Nick Claxton and these guys and Zubac and these guys, all these centers that he's fed over the years, relevant because he's getting them 6 to 7 lobs and some easy dunks. He's making these guys relevant. You're telling me
not to cut you off, that's the exact same thing with Trae Young, and that's why I told people that he's going to be a difference maker. Ever since Clint Capella, he hasn't had one of those. Now he gets one in SAR, and you give him another one in AD, you're going to see a different impact.
And we're really talking about two situations where a point guard, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, these might be the two best situations Harden and Trae have ever been in, logistically wise. Not might be the best version of themselves, but best chance to win. Like we thought Brooklyn was going to be winning for James Harden. It just didn't work. There wasn't enough basketballs to go around for them to succeed. They got hurt a lot. They only played 11 games together.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Honestly,
they only played 11 games together.
That's the biggest part, the injuries. I mean, that's the biggest what if team in history.
But Harden, I will say, he makes these centers very much relevant. He makes them relevant because you have to respect the lob. you can't double team him or blitz him off the screen. You can't because that's gonna give him a free assist, and then your turnaround is 2 points. I think it opens the floor up for Cleveland. Ultimately, I'm not trying to bash Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a better player when he doesn't have the ball in his hands all the time. Because when last year, when they lost in the playoffs, Donovan tried to play superhero ball, and that's not who he is. He's never been that guy. He in Utah, let the game come to him, take what they gave him and attack. When he tries to do too much, it ultimately ruins their area of success. And I think Harden will ultimately it'll be a good thing for have Harden beside Mitchell to teach him more about how to score. We might see Don Mitchell take a big step, learn from Harden, arguably one of the best scorers we've ever seen in the last 20 years in a basketball game. You're gonna tell me he gets to pick James Harden's brain every day? Don't Cleveland's got something going right now, and ultimately it's gonna come down to two things. How does Donovan Mitchell take having somebody just as good as him beside him, and how defensively they can adjust not giving up 130 points
Well,
or 120 points.
I think the biggest part is the question mark, right? Donovan
Yeah,
Mitchell and James Harden in the playoffs have not been able to get it done.
at all.
Even on the games where they show up, obviously they're superstar players, they're going to show up. You know, they're going to have the moments but when push comes to shove, they haven't been able to get it done. Now you have both of these guys. I mean, like, this is almost probably his last chance, bro. He's played on a lot of good teams. He's 34, 35 years old now. I know there's already rumors of him and Donovan Mitchell's going to try to recruit Bron back there. I could see maybe Bron going back for one more year to throw in there. And now you got Mobley and them guys, and that's a whole nother conversation. But we'll see. We'll see. I think this team's good. You know, bringing Harden in right before the All-Star break. Will they be able to build enough chemistry to really go and do it this year? I mean, you got some tough teams out the East, but I mean, talent-wise, on paper, they're right there in the mix. So we'll see what happens. I guess we got a couple other quick trades we could hit on that ain't really super big ones. But what did you think about the Alvarado to New York deal? I think that's good for them defensively with Miles McBride being out for a while. He gets to come home too. You know, he gives you that energy spark off the bench. So a player like him's never bad to get, and they ain't really give up much for him.
I think New York has to find the right rotation for them. I like lately I've been seeing Clarkson getting a lot of no minutes, and you brought Clarkson in to do a job, which is come off the bench to score. I just think New York needs to find more of an identity, what they're going to be, because we look up, it's already February. Playoffs is in 2 months. You better start finding it now and not trying to find it late March identity-wise. We know what their starting five is going to give them, but who's going to be those guys off the bench to give you that spark? Because what if Deuce McBride doesn't come back? He's done till March or April and can't come back. Who's going to be that guy off the bench? And I think Alvarado gives a lot of energy. I guess a lot of hustle and effort. I think it's another guy like Josh Hart. Josh Hart's going to give you everything he got, 110% all night. He lacks offensively. I think he's a little more of an upgrade than Josh Hart is on offense. Alvarado can handle the ball and shoot and give that threat, but also how limited is he going to be able to play playing behind Jalen Brunson? Because Jalen Brunson plays 35 minutes a night. He's not. You telling me he only gonna play? You're gonna play them together, or he's only gonna play 13 minutes a game? I think New York has to find their identity and find it quick because these guys in the East are finding it. And if Cleveland finds it quick, New York's gonna be in a hole with Detroit and Cleveland and Boston's been hooping. What if Tatum comes back? I don't think he will, but what if Tatum comes back? That's another juggernaut you got to go through.
The thing is, the Knicks are still 33-18, number 2 in the East. I mean, they are tied for Boston right now, but the thing is, the Knicks went on that losing streak, and then they benched Clarkson, like you mentioned. But when they benched Clarkson, I think they went 6 or 7-0 without him in the rotation, and he played the last game actually, and we still won. Because, you know, that's my squad. Sometimes I'm gonna talk as a fan on here.
But also you brought Clarkson in to do a job, and you watch the games more. Cause you're a Knicks fan, you watch the games more than I do. But Clarkson we're not gonna act like Clarkson can't be a spark. You just have to find the right moments. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah, but what do you do as a coach, as a first-year coach, when you bring in a player that's a 6-man caliber talent and he's averaging 7 or 8 points a game? Because he's not giving you anything on the other end of the floor. So if he's not putting the ball in the hoop, what is he really doing for you? You know what I'm saying? And it's tough because you need him for that.
Saying, but you also know what he's gonna give you I can't say because it's still early to see. It's still early, not playoff time yet. But we know who Jordan Carson is. Jordan Carson been proven for the last 6, 7 years playing great ball, and he had a little slump. But it's. I think he'll reel back in. I'm big on Jordan Carson. I think Jordan Carson can hoop. He absolutely can go. It's just I think he's trying to find his space in New York because there's a lot of big names where he was hooping a lot. There wasn't that many big names like LA when he was young, Utah, and when he was in Cleveland. Like he just a lot of different places where he played where he could be himself. Now he has to reel back in and kind of play. I don't want to say play real basketball, but he doesn't have that green light like he's used to. And I think it's a little bit of a change, but I think they'll figure it out. They always figure it out. New York always figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think this is the year for the Knicks got to make a splash this year, man. With everybody being beat up, like you said, Boston, Pacers, you got like this is the year they went to the conference finals last year. Now you got to get back and get
I
over
know it's
that
kind of
hump.
funny. It's kind of funny. I don't want to say it jinx it because football's over, but New York's kind of like Buffalo right now. It's the best time to go win it. You might as well do it now. And if you don't do it, it's not going to get easier from now. It's going to only get harder.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then what about that Luke Kennard deal? You know that, of course, that's the Lakers niche. They want snipers, right? And he's on pace to put up one of the best, I think, 3-point percentages in that this league has ever seen. He's been sniping, so
So
that's like a slight but good pickup.
that's my team. So I was happy about to see Luke Kennard, but I also think I was happy to see AR come back. That's a big boost for us. And AR when AR plays and is healthy, he's the second best player on our team. LeBron's LeBron. He's still who he is, but at this time in his career, AR and Luka are more effective than LeBron is right now. LeBron's going to give you your 28 and 6, but AR and Luka is more effective to our game plan, to our success. And also, it gives LeBron and Luka more toys to pull out in the wings. You're gonna tell me you can run Luke Kennard and AR on the same side. You can't help off either one of them. That creates a lot of spacing for LeBron and Luka to operate. And really, if anybody's going to benefit off this, it's probably going to be Luka Doncic. He might average 2 more assists a game and 5 more points because of just spacing.
Yeah, and I tell you what, one of the biggest trades of the deadline that nobody's really talking about is that Vucevic trade to Boston because they needed a big the worst way. Now they did give up Anthony Simons in a second for him, but I think Vucevic is a solid big. He's always been solid. He just really hasn't played on good teams. But
Yeah, he was
now
he was hooping in Chicago for a while. Chicago ain't been doing nothing. Like
yeah, and
Vucevic
I
was still
think
giving you 8.
I think him being an older player, he got tired of all the BS. Like I remember there was a video I seen like after a win, they want to do all that, and he's like, "Get off me! Like don't touch me!" type vibe. Like, bro, we're terrible. Y'all are celebrating this, so it's good to see him go to a winning culture.
And on the winning culture, somewhat, man. People aren't talking about that Jaren Jackson trade enough, man. I'm still high on that trade because ultimately you get the best, probably young front court in the league. You got a guy in Ace Bailey. You got a guy in Keontae George, and you're telling me Utah's in the line to get a top 5 pick. And if they get the number 2 pick or number 1 pick, we know who's going to Utah. Go ahead and put the Bands on the back of a jersey.
But my thing
Right?
is does that really happen though? You know, like let me see because Utah right now, I like that trade. It's a sneaky trade for them too. But I mean, they are currently 7 games out of the play, and I don't think that they play for a top pick because you throw Jaren Jackson on that team, Isaiah Collier, Keontae George, Jaren Jackson, Walker Kessler, and Lauri Markkanen, bro, and you got 3 guys out there 6'10" or better. Like,
Man,
and on top of that, you still have what's the other guy? You still got Ace Bailey that you got to, you know, he's your project right now because he's not consistent, but like
they got a young squad over there. There's a lot of young dogs around here that's starting to bark a little bit. The league better be ready because Utah is built to win. They got 3 guys that can space the floor. They got probably one of the best shot blockers in the league. Keontae George is playing like most improved player of the year right now.
yeah,
Keontae George is hooping.
Yeah, and that's an understatement, honestly. But
No,
what
that's not giving enough credit right now. Keontae George is totally taking 3 steps from last year because last year he wasn't playable. He was too small and just like I've been watching. The one night I was watching him, he went toe to toe with SGA and gave them a game. He was keeping them in the game, and I'm like, you went toe to toe with probably arguably the best player in the league right now and was giving him fits. And like Utah got something going right now. We was talking about it earlier before we started. I said, man, them, Charlotte, Washington really isn't that young, but like they got young talent and they got dogs. It's just people better start buckling up and realizing like there's some new dogs and I like it. It makes the league more competitive. I was sick and tired of seeing the same 3 or 4 teams every year be good and everybody else just file in where you get in. It's getting competitive. Like it's from top to bottom, east to west.
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually like what Atlanta's doing a little bit too. I mean, I don't know if Kuminga makes sense for them right now, but like I like Kuminga. Of course, Jalen Johnson's a dog. Dyson Daniels is a dog. They sent Porzingis to the Warriors. I guess that'll be good for Golden State if he can stay healthy. And then they also ended up getting Buddy Hield in Atlanta as well. So I mean, they sent them 2 players off for him, but I don't know if that's obviously not a blockbuster. There really ain't much to talk about there. That's kind of just a trade. You got to see what it is. Hawks aren't built to win right now. I don't know if Porzingis helps get the Warriors over that hump either. Maybe. I mean, he definitely would fit that system, but I don't know. And then how about Mike Conley got traded to the Bulls in the Ayo Dosunmu deal? They traded him somewhere else in another deal. So then he ends up back up in the second trade they bought him out, and then he ended up back up in Minnesota today. It's
Yeah.
like the Andrew Bogut rule, so they was able to
That's
get him
that,
back.
and you bring up Minnesota. I was waiting to see that Giannis trade to Minnesota because we heard there was rumors about Minnesota actively pursuing them, and the thought of having Ant and Giannis on the same court together is just like, good God, like how do you
Well,
stop
guess
it?
what? Not to cut you off, but how about this? Yesterday, I seen something. It was a tweet from a verified person. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head or what Twitter page it was or X page it was, but they said that one team backed out on the Giannis because they thought that he had too much of an ego to be a number 2 option. And I thought about it. I said, yo, there's no way the Knicks did that with Jalen Brunson. But then I'm like, it had to be the Minnesota Timberwolves because Ant-Man is not taking the backseat to nobody on his team. That's his mentality. And I feel like Minnesota as an organization backs him that much. Now, with that being said, wherever the hell Giannis goes, he's the number 1 option. Like, damn that. If you
Like
want to
no, like
win,
there's
Giannis is your number 1 option.
exactly. Like I when I saw it, I heard them actively pursuing him. Like, man, this might be the modern day Kobe and Shaq. Like I don't want it's a crazy comparison because of what Kobe and Shaq did. But ultimately, if he goes to Minnesota, you got probably arguably the best big in the league and the best 2-way guard in the league, undoubtedly. Ant-Man is the best 2-way guard in the league. He might be the best 2-way player in the league, and there's no conversation probably as of right now for him being the best 2-way.
Yeah, so I thought that was crazy. I'm like, man, imagine that though, like because they're another team that took a step back. You know, they went to the conference championship, traded Cat. We went to the conference championship, traded. You know, we made the deal, and then I don't know. It's weird. It's weird how it worked out, but nonetheless, you know, there were some big moves, some good moves. Of course, just to recap those again, we was talking about Eastern Conference as far as that goes. The Cavs getting Harden, of course, reshapes their scoring, gives them more scoring options, more ability on the offensive end with a good playmaking guard as well. The Wizards adding AD for the major front court upgrade, as we talked about with Alex Sarr and him together. That could end up being something very good. The Knicks getting Alvarado for some bench depth to get gritty guard that they need coming off the bench. And then on the west side of things, we were talking about the Clippers. They got the picks and youth and picks for a solid center in Zubac. So speaking about that, the Pacers on the other side, of course, upgraded for, we would assume, I guess, size and rebounding purposes, if anything, considering the way things been going for them. And that was kind of it. The Jaren Jackson deal. The Jaren Jackson deal was a big-time deal for them that's not being talked about enough. I agree with you there because I think that Utah team has a very solid core now, young core on top of it. I don't think any of their players are over 26 years old in the starting lineup. Could be exaggerating that a little bit.
I think
Lauri would be the oldest.
I think Lauri would be the oldest.
Yeah, Lauri's the oldest. I don't even think he's 20. He might not be 25 yet. So they're definitely built for the future. Still got their draft picks. The Wizards still got all their draft picks. So these are two teams, even if they don't have much success right now in the moment after these trades, next year you can be talking about them being in the top 5 and potentially getting a generational talent with some of the guys coming out of this class. You know, a lot of people say Darren Patterson was ready for the NBA last year. So he would have been out of high school if the rule was still a thing. So there's definitely some dogs in this one. We'll see. But that's that. We just wanted to come loud to you. Now, what about the standings? What do you think about, like, who's your if you had to pick right now today, right before the trade All-Star weekend, who would be your picks to go to the NBA Finals?
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna give you my conference finals, and I'm gonna go to the finals.
Okay.
I got San Antonio and OKC going to the conference. Not say OKC San Antonio rematch. The grudge matches for all the marbles after all this back and forth all year about who's the best team, who's better, beating each other. It's like I think it was like 3-0 or 4-0, and then I think OKC done reeled it back in a little bit. And I think I don't know if San Antonio has enough right now to win. I know Victor, what he is within the 7. You're telling me in a 7-game series, Victor's going to hold up for 7 straight games, healthy wise. I don't know if they're ready yet. I said it last year when we talked before this podcast we even started. I said San Antonio's great. I said they're still one piece away. I still think they need another scorer. Castle took a big step. De'Aaron Fox is what he's always been. Devin Vassell's taking a big step. Victor, Dylan Harper's playing at a great rookie level. He's just playing behind 2 guards that are proven for the last 2 or 3 years, or even longer with De'Aaron Fox. I just don't know they have enough to really go beat OKC. So I think OKC is gonna come out the West, and then I got Detroit and I'm gonna say New York. I'm gonna say New York to come out too. I think on paper wise, they have the team built. Unless, and I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say this with a catch. If Tatum comes back, and Tatum's who he's always been, I like Boston a lot with the Vucevic trade and Jaylen Brown playing at a high level right now. Derek White. You said what?
Cut the bullshit. Tatum's not about to come. Tatum's, bro, if Tatum comes back in March, there's no way he's coming back in March and he's going to be in playoff form by April for them to make some noise. Now, I'm not saying. I'm
saying, hold on, let me finish. I'm saying the way Boston's playing now, you're telling me they're top or number 2 in the East. I'm just saying hypothetically. He probably isn't coming back. I'm just saying hypothetically. You're telling me you add a proven all NBA guy and just imagine he just gives you 16 points a game and like 8 rebounds and 5 assists. That's all he's gonna give you? That's plus 18 points.
But see, that's the problem. You're talking about 1A, 1B, whoever you look at him as on Boston.
Oh, here we go.
Listen, coming back, right? Coming back. It's going to fuck everything up. The chemistry's going to be off. Like, bro, it's easy to be like, yo, I'll come back, I'll play limited minutes, but you're still Jason Tatum. You feel me? Like, that's going to, and what you mean, here we go? That's a conversation. My man's 33 and 18, no center. No center.
Man, it's not a conversation, man.
Yo, I'm just telling you, if you want to get into that, we can spin this real quick.
That's not a conversation.
That's a conversation, man.
A conversation. It hasn't been a conversation about 3 years.
No, it's been a conversation. The Tatum fans are just delusional. That's what's happening. Yo, listen,
no,
I don't really want to have a conversation while my man's out because it's not fair. But I'm just saying, 33 and 18, the year after they gutted the team. So this ain't the same roster they've been winning with. This is Jaylen Brown being Jaylen Brown, 30 a game. You hear me?
Now, me ask one question we can drop. Me ask one question and we drop it. When Brad or Joe Mazzulla draws the play up, we know who the ball's going to. That's all I got to say. It's going to Tatum. We know who the ball. And when everyone's on the court at the same time, we know where the ball is going.
That's fine. That's fine. No. That's fine, but that's not always true.
Ooh, that's not true. All right.
Hey,
we'll say that
and on top of that, guess when Tatum's there, right? When Tatum's there, you know who gets the game started? Jaylen Brown. Okay,
Jaylen Brown.
come
I will
on.
say that Jaylen. I'm not saying Jaylen Brown. I think they're probably the best duo, arguably the best duo in the league, possibly when they're healthy. But man, we're not gonna get into this.
See, I done got you off topic, man. Who's your picks?
Man, give me New York and Detroit. Before I was gonna say New York, but I don't know. New York going. I think New York gets over the hump. I don't think I trust Jalen Brunson and Cat and all the veterans that've been there before to get over the hump. Like I said with Detroit, I think they're great. and what they're doing, I just don't know if they're ready yet. San Antonio, I don't think they're ready yet. Like San Antonio is great and probably gonna be a juggernaut for the next 5 to 8 years with what they have. It just some teams are built to win now, and New York's been building this for 5 years since getting Jalen Brunson. AC's been building this for the last 3 years, and you see where they're at. I just think it's not time yet. Next year might be having a real different conversation about who's on top of the East and West. But right now, I got New York and OKC coming out going to the finals.
I like that, but the funny thing is I've literally give this zero thought this far because there's so much basketball to be played. And the thing is matchups matter, right? So we're kind of just doing this based on how teams are playing. The Spurs for me, because I had a talk with my boy. This was back before they played OKC the second time. No, it might have been the first time. And I had told him, I don't think that personnel-wise, you can say they're one of the best teams, but when you have Victor Wembanyama on the court in a 7-game series, his presence with what's around him and the way they play, they can give anybody a problem. And you fast forward, they spanked the Thunder a couple times, and I think 2 of the games he might have been on minute restrictions, but nonetheless, I'm with you. I don't know if they I don't know if they'll get over that.
He was coming off the bench. He was coming off the bench. I didn't interrupt you. He was coming off the bench, and they was still winning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the first two, I know the first one for sure he was on a minute restriction. The second one, I'm not sure. But the thing is, I'm kind of with you. I don't know if they'll be able to take that step completely this year, but they're definitely a tough out, and they can beat anybody in a 7-game series. But with that lack of experience, I won't take them just yet because I kind of see a little OKC in them from 2 years ago. And then
not to interrupt you and let you finish. My fault. I know it's biased, but my Lakers, bro. When you got Luka. I'm just saying we've seen Luka perform in the biggest moments time and time again. That's another team that can make a run. I know they're not getting enough credit because of what's going on, but LA is a very tough out. And that Luke Kennard trade is bigger than what people think it is. They've been hooping. You got with Rui and Luka and AR coming back. We really haven't seen LA at their full potential yet because LeBron was hurt, Luka was hurt, AR's been hurt. This will be the first time in a while they all three play together. And
Luka's hurt again.
And DeAndre Ayton's playing good basketball right now for the time being. And there's another there's a lot of guys. I think there's no clear cut team on either side. Like there's a lot of dark horses like Denver getting Jokic back and Peyton Watson playing at a high level.
I'm not convinced with these Lakers, bro. Lakers are good. They're 15-2 in clutch games. They got the best clutch record in the NBA. But the problem is, bro, it's just the fact they can't stay on the court together. Like you said, AR comes back, second game back. Luka goes out last night.
We can't defend either. It's hard. It's bad to say it. Luka's gonna give you 30, 35 plus between assists and points on any given night, but he's also gonna probably give up 25 to 30 of it back. So
yeah, and that's another thing too. In the playoffs, the teams attack Luka and make him guard. Like it's almost like every possession.
I'm not saying it's a bad way, but Luka and AR are considered defensive liabilities.
But I mean,
in a very guard heavy West, you got to think about SGA. You got to think about Jamal Murray. You got to think about I can't even think off the top of my head right now. I gotta bring.
I gotta go.
But I'm saying
I'm gonna give it to you like this. I'm gonna give it to you like this because I don't think the Thunder's repeating. I don't feel that. Spurs, I'm high on, but I don't know if they got the experience to get over the hump yet. Denver's Denver because as long as Yoke's healthy, they'll be right there with a chance. I think I like Rockets and Suns in the conference finals.
Really?
Yeah, I think I like Rockets. It's something about that Suns team. I'm not really crazy about them, but Dylan Brooks needs his. Dylan Brooks gets on my nerves, but he needs his respect.
Basketball.
Huh?
They're both playing under radar basketball. Like I don't think we were realizing how dangerous Houston can be. Like, and they're down. Fred VanVleet's done for this. He's done for the year, right? He's not coming back.
He hasn't really announced it, but he said he was ahead of schedule in his rehab, whatever that means.
So and that's another big piece. If Fred VanVleet comes back in a good amount of time to get ready for the playoffs, Houston is dangerous. They can defend. They're going to score and they're going to run you up and down the court. In Suns, man, I know he's been in the dark for a while. But Devin Booker can flat out hoop. And Dylan Brooks, even though I don't like the way he be handling stuff or how he be acting, Dylan Brooks has taken a big step from being a 3-and-D guy in Memphis to being a 20 a night guy and guarding your best player.
See, the thing with that.
Go ahead.
The thing with that is with Dillon Brooks, though, I don't really think that Dillon Brooks should always score. Like, if you go back to Oregon, when that Oregon team was nice, Dillon Brooks was their best player. He'd always been able to score. It's just like his antics, I think, make people dislike him because he's one of them villain guys.
Yeah.
But every team, I think, I seen something the other day. They said, damn, when Dillon Brooks left Memphis, he took winning with him. And it's like, everywhere he's been, he was, he's changed the culture. You know what I'm saying? He went to Houston. He had him playing defense. Now you take him to Phoenix. Phoenix last year was one of the worst defensive teams in the league.
No, I was saying Dillon Brooks, it's either you love him or you hate him. If you want him on your team, he's like, you remind me a little bit of, I'm not the same level with Artest. You hate him if he's not on your team. But if he's on your team, you love him. You love everything he brings to the table. He loves the energy, the tenacity, the physical, the way to get to people. Like, we've never seen like Dillon Brooks, of all people, is the one that gets to LeBron and gets him going. Like, LeBron's 40-some years old, but like pisses LeBron off and makes LeBron have to turn another gear on. Like, that means something when you get the stars going. When Memphis, they looked at him like he was a little puppy, but now he's here and you gotta respect him.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then in the East, it's gonna be like the Pistons. The Pistons are gonna be the team that takes that OKC step. Last year they lost in a tough series to the Knicks. Now they're the top team in the East. Of course, I think Knicks will be back. I think the Knicks have to be. There's a couple teams in the mix that's not playing super good right now, but like the Sixers, you don't really know what to expect because if they fall in like that 7-8 area and play a top team early with Embiid healthy, they can beat any of them guys. I think this was kind of a situation they were in last year, except for Embiid was actually hurt. So if he's healthy and it happens, that could be a bad first-round matchup for somebody. But I think I would have to lean. It's between Pistons. I'm going Knicks for sure, and then Pistons and Cavs will be the other one for me. Of course, Boston's right there, but I think it'll either be the experience of a Cleveland team because they got older guys, or it'll be that young team that learned a lot from that series last year against the Knicks in the series they probably feel like they should have won. So that's what it comes down to. And then I'll probably go Knicks.
Let's say with the whole Cleveland thing, like I'm still early on it because we haven't seen James Harden in a Cleveland uniform yet. But if he figures it out, we can have a lot different conversation in about a month about James Harden and Donovan Mitchell being the biggest threat in the East, because on paper they might have the best team out of all three of those teams on paper.
But see, I'm looking at that team. I'm looking at that team how you were with Tatum coming back, right? Like, that team without Darius Garland still wins games. That team adding James Harden that's been hooping, that's in mid-season form, he just has to find his way. And all he really has to do is go in there and be a point guard. Let the game come to him. Now that's the problem, but we'll see how it plays out. I think he's going to give them the playmaking ability that they've never had with that personnel, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they had Ty Jerome coming off the bench hooping last year. Like, every guard they had in the system played good, but none of them's been James Harden. And that's probably low-key Darius Garland might have been the worst or the least efficient one of them all based on the minutes he's getting. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I like the Pistons today over the Cavs, but I think Pistons-Cavs will be in that mix. And then, of course, whoever that 2-3 matchup ends up being is going to be super tough. So we'll see. But that would be my conference finals. And if I had to pick, I'm going Knicks, and that's probably the fan in me, but it's all good. We're definitely good enough to make the finals. Knicks Rockets.
That's
Knicks
different.
Rockets. And like I said, I ain't really gave it too much thought. It's a lot of basketball left. Yeah. So we'll see. And I tell you what, that Hornets team getting to the playoffs, the way they've been looking, they might be a little threat because they can score the ball. Now they're starting to buckle up a little bit.
That's not going to be easy out. You got to get Charlotte for 7 games because that's the one team I really wanted to see make a move in the trade deadline. They didn't, because I'm not talking about like a big move, just bringing another guy that can hoop, because they got their 3-headed monster. Brandon Miller, Concacaf, and LaMelo are playing at a clip right now. They're playing at a high clip right now, and it's kind of hard. If Cooper Flag wasn't just having a historic rookie year in some aspects, Concacaf was the second runner for the rookie of the year easily. Concacaf was playing great basketball where everybody thought he was going to be just a spot-up shooter, and he's turned into a 3-level scorer.
Yeah, he's hooping. Him, Derek Queen, and Cooper Flags all hooping. It's crazy. I'm looking at a quick little mock draft. We ain't got to get into it too much, but they got Darren Patterson going number 1 to the Kings, It says his comp's almost Kobe. AJ DeMonta to the Hawks. They called him a jumbo-sized RJ Barrett and T-Mac. And then Cam Boozer, number 3 to the Pacers, comparing him to Mike Bees and Al Horford. How do you even Caleb Wilson, number 4 to the Nets, comparing him to KG and Sharif Abdur-Rahim, and then Kingston Fleming, the guard from Houston, they compare him to Markelle Fultz going to DC to the Wiz. And they actually got the Jazz at 6 taking Keaton Wagler. He's tough. They actually said hints of SGA. I don't know, though. We'll see. We'll see. You got to let that shit play out. You don't know how these teams are going to finish, what their thoughts are. But nonetheless, that was that NBA talk, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us. Y'all know the vibes. Appreciate you, Deuce, bro. Hey.